If you're just joining us, please introduce yourself in the chat. You can also list your affiliation if you have one, whether you're with a nonprofit, a business. If it's just you, we love you just the same. And so let's get started with our gathering for today. So today we're very excited to have with us this guy that I used to ride the bus with in middle school named Brooks Frederick, who'll be talking to us a little bit later today, supporting creative communities in a changing Gulf Coast. We'll talk a little bit more about Brooks in just a second. Of course, the folks that bring this program to you, myself, I work over at the Wetlands Discovery Center. We have Maida Owens, who's the Folklife Program Director at the Louisiana Division of the Arts, Dr. Rachel Doherty at the Center for Louisiana Studies at the University of Louisiana in Lafayette, and of course, Dr. Gary LaFleur, the R.E. Miller Endowed Professor of Honors Studies, Professor of Biology, Nicholls State University. Very impressive. It's a great title. It's a great title. We're here to have some conversations with everybody, exploring some strategies, but we are not a proponent of any one particular adaptation or management strategy. We're just here to have conversations with everyone to sort of move the needle forward on the human dimension and coastal challenges that we face. Of course, thank you to the partners, the Louisiana Folklife Program, the Wetlands Discovery Center, Louisiana Folklore Society, Center for Bayou Studies at Nicholls, and the Center for Louisiana Studies at the University of Louisiana in Lafayette. Thank you so much to our funders, because we could not do this work without their support. The National Endowment for the Arts, the Barataria-Terrebonne National Estuary Program, National Endowment for the Humanities, Restore the Mississippi River Delta, the M.J. Sindler Family Fund for Culture and Media, Louisiana Office of Cultural Development through the Division of the Arts, and the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. If you'd like any more information about the collaborative, please check us out at louisianafolklore.org, or you can always email Bayou Culture Collaborative at gmail.com. I'd like to now pass the microphone over to Maida so that she can talk to us a little bit about the Passing It On workshops.
Yeah, we've had great Passing It On workshops that went through all the spring and a little bit into the summer. Next slide. And I want to share with y'all about the Cocoa tribe of Kanisi Tene in the Lafayette area. Nanta Kuga Goodbear did a workshop on coil low-fire pottery to reintroduce this pottery tradition into the tribe. And that's just one of the examples of what we've been supporting through the Passing It On workshops. They will start up again in the spring or January, and so stay tuned. If you know of anybody that should be doing a Passing It On workshop, please let them know about this.
Thank you for that, Maida. Here is the agenda for today. We're going to be hearing from Brooks in just a minute. We'll have a little bit of time to have a question and answers with Brooks, and then we'll ask him what his hope for the coast is. We'll give you a little bit of information about when the working groups will be meeting. Ask you all if you have any announcements, and then we ask that if you can, please stick around for the last 30 minutes where we'll have our informal discussion. So again, today we have with us Brooks Frederick, a dear friend, but also an amazing artist who is not only inspiring, but is moving the needle forward on many of the issues that that we hold dear to this group and explore through these meetings. So thank you, Brooks, for being with us today. He's a Brooklands, New Orleans-based, classically trained artist, painter, and activist, and dear friend. So Brooks, it's all yours, man. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, y'all. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Brooksland. This is my I'm bi-coastal. I'm between it says New Orleans on the bio, but it's more accurately Houma and Brooklyn, and I'm coming to you from Brooklyn. Although, as many of you know, I spent a lot of time in Houma, um, all the way back. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the roles I inhabit and try to embody as an artist, and also think about what responsibility that, if any, that bears to my own practice, and like how we can use art as a way to heal from climate crisis. So this is my my street cred crawfish man costume. I this is for those of you that are coming to us from non-South Louisiana areas. This was a character that I grew up with in the 80s, and I'm not going to tell you how long I wore this costume, like what age I stopped wearing this costume. That's not on the agenda today. So uh this is a piece I did in 1979, so I was like 2 years old, and painting has been with me from a very, very long time. My mom and dad, who are in the audience, have always encouraged me to express myself with art. So, and I'm grateful for that. It's been a mainstay. It's been my mental health. It's been a way that I've been able to kind of connect. A lot of people growing up went fishing. I would be sketching, in the swamps, and in my growing up at my place near Berg. So I guess that brings me to the first role of an artist, which is a role of someone who appreciates the beauty that is our Gulf Coast home. I think a lot of times, especially in other parts of the country, it gets kind of discarded or thrown away as not as beautiful as other types of other types of fauna and flora, and just the land and the water. And we know, who those of us that grow up there, visit there, how beautiful it can be. So I think that was my entry point. As a young artist and student, I would make these paintings outdoors, indoors, mostly of the area that I was living in and exploring. I was also interested in aerial views, as a way to. We all know there's not a lot of elevation in Louisiana and South Louisiana, so this piece was taken from a plane ride out of New Orleans, that basin area called Irish Bayou. But I was interested in bringing it a little more local, so I decided to paint at LumCon. So for those of you that don't know, Louisiana University Marine Consortium is a place where one of the only places in the Bayou region that has like a 70-80 foot aerial view and tower. So I painted this view as it stood 2007, however many years ago, almost 20 years ago, getting close to it. And I've been told that it's changed. I mean, I see it every couple of years, but it's changed a lot. So getting into the next role, artist as documentarian. So thinking about myself as a person who can show and express in my own particular way what the beauty, but also the fragility and the delicate nature of the wetlands that so many of us love. This is a piece about 13.5 feet long. It's also in the government tower in Terrebonne Parish. If you want to visit it, included the top photo to show for scale. And another way I'm trying to document my home is to show like when floods happen, when hurricanes do happen, showing the water as it comes in on the road, on the places on our community where we don't always want it to be. So the photo on the left demonstrates that. Again, I love being outdoors, even when it's hot. Speaking of heat, This piece on the right is called Fire on the Bayou, and it's an attempt to paint humidity and heat. I wanted to see if I could communicate humidity and heat with color and texture. So, but I am bi-coastal. I do spend a lot of my time on the East Coast. I live and work in Brooklyn most of the year, and even though I'm in Houma and in New Orleans a lot, it always made me angry how much land we were losing. For those of you that are maybe coming to us from Brooklyn and don't know this, or other places in the country or the world, we lose. It's well documented that we can lose up to a football field worth of land every 45 minutes to hour, and sometimes people use the metric of Manhattan. So I wanted to see what it would be like if I took that metric of Manhattan, and here's Manhattan right here. This I'm using my cursor. The white shape to the left. This is Long Island. You see it's similar to Louisiana. We've got a barrier island. We've got a lot of the same features, but I wanted to kind of bring it home to a New York audience of what it would be like to lose that much land at that rate. So this is a piece that's designed to getting into my next role of an artist, to be a provocateur, to bring home a message in a way that perhaps words or policies can't. And please let me know if something goes wrong with the tech. I think I'm going to be. Am I back to sharing the document? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Documenting, provoking, emotionally processing hurricanes. This is a piece, the first hurricane response piece I did, thinking about hurricanes Katrina and Rita and the after effects of them. Painted this in 2006, but also thinking about how our communities rely. I wanted to make this piece an equal balance of struggle, but also our community coming together and helping each other out, regardless of background or ideology. It's one of the beautiful things, as many of us know. And then I was also moved in a few years ago with Hurricane Ida, there was an outpouring. People probably get tired of hearing me talk about Louisiana up here. So everybody knows I'm from Houma. A lot of my artist friends asked how they could help with recovery efforts. So I was very moved how many people went along with my plan to donate their artwork and donate the proceeds to United Houma Nation, Helio Foundation, other organizations that were helping with recovery efforts. It was also a privilege to get to communicate a more spiritual form of help. Many of us know that Grand Isle, one of those barrier islands, was really hit extremely hard in Hurricane Ida, and Father Mark Toops commissioned me to make a series of paintings. These are two of them of the Holy Family at different stages that we might not always see them. This is Joseph and boy Jesus playing together. There's a piece of Mary extending her hand to one of the faithful. And it was also a privilege to get to explore, to have an attempt at representation that was meaningful. I only used models that were of Middle Eastern or Jewish descent. So, and I'm sure a lot of us are aware that the blonde-eyed, blue-eyed Jesuses that many of us have hanging in our churches growing up are not historically accurate. So that was another really privilege for me to get to try to take a stab at that theme. Another role of art that I really appreciate is communication and celebration of our culture. So for those of you that don't know, king cake babies are little tiny plastic babies that come in, they're inside. Well, I don't know, they're not inside anymore, are they? They're outside, so people don't sue. But they're inside king cakes, a celebratory cake during Mardi Gras. And I went to New Orleans and got a brown one time, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. New Orleans is majority African American, but I almost always saw pink king cake babies. So it started this whole series of painting different king cake babies and threatening, funny, humorous situations. I figured out years later that this is actually a self-portrait. The roach is self-doubt, and I'm the king cake baby, and I'm trying to face it. King cake babies in the suburbs, giant king cake babies with the Virgin Mary, king cake babies versus coronavirus. So it's a fun stand-in to whatever position it needs to be in. And of course, I'm going back and forth, role artist as exploring the culture. And unfortunately, a recent part of our culture is dealing with not only hurricanes, but oil spills. I'm sure many of you know that there was one, just this year near Raceland. And the big one that everybody knows about is the Deepwater Horizon, aka BP oil spill 2010. And I was angry, I was frustrated. I wanted to use my skills as an artist to communicate the human frustrations and toll that took on our community. So I collected the tar, and the first piece I did was of the CEO at the time, Tony Hayward. This piece is called "I Want My Life Back," which is his now infamous quote. But I didn't want to just stay there. I wanted to explore relationships of friends, family members, Moses and Alyssa, and people that are family and friends in the Terrebonne Parish area. This is Mr. Lewis Bloom, who had the dried shrimp. His family has the dried shrimp plant. Well, it's now a distillery for so many years on Main Street. And Jordan here on the right, thinking about the potential cost of what a reliance only on the oil industry and not other forms of energy could mean. And I say this as a person who respects everyone, regardless of what field they work in. But I worked very briefly at Dolphin Industries in the oil industry, and I know, that it's not about. I wish it wasn't so politicized, but here we are. I asked to people that I grew up with and our friends and family in the community to have an artistic response to the oil spill. And it was difficult finding a venue for it. Because people were nervous, people and about what that could mean for boards or other organizations that got funding from oil companies. But it was well attended. It was very creative. We had everything. If you look to the far left, you'll see Shannon Eaton as a mermaid telling kid-friendly stories about her and her mermaid friends swimming away from the oil. We had Parent Van doing comedy and music. We had, back to the left, we've got Andrea Dupree being the personification of greed. And so again, that's another role of art, is like the ability to be subversive, the ability to provoke, the ability to like help us think about some of these issues in potentially a lighter, more creative way than we might just through a conversation or a political fight or something. We had a kid-friendly pinata called Spilmo on the left, and we ended this Jamie Dardar leading us in a circle dance to symbolize our unity and our connection. Bringing a lot of this information back to the East Coast with me, marching in the climate marches. And this is one of my favorite protests I got to be part of on the right, which is myself and some other Louisiana-based folks did a jazz funeral for the death of affordable housing to protest high rent prices. So that's my approach, is based on connection, community, thinking about inviting people to whatever their skill level to participate in art making actions. This is a collective I started in Brooklyn called the Future Museum, with some wonderful folks out there on the right, and then some of my high school students on the left. The other part of what I do is based on listening circles and storytelling with a group called Sustaining All Life. In fact, you might have seen, those of you that have been around a while might have seen me in a panel almost a couple years ago, processing climate grief and anxiety through our personal stories, led by the wonderful Elaine Claymore, pictured here on the upper right. That's a great organization. Another great follow is Sustaining All Life. They're doing some stuff next week for Climate Week. So all of this to say, I was really, really proud and pleased to be partnering with Jonathan and Jonathan Forey and the South Louisiana Wetlands Discovery Center to do a pilot year of what we called Storm Shelter. It was a summer art program hosted at the Waterlife Museum in Houma. And we had the community really came out. We had some generous support, not only from South Louisiana Wetlands Discovery Center, but the Bayou Regional Arts Council and Southgate Insurance Agency and Holland Allen and wonderful folks out there. But the goal was to have an intergenerational group of artists who were affected by Hurricane Ida and to use art as a way to process what so many people have been going through emotionally, to use art as a tool to not only process the struggles, but also to envision a future that's sustainable. But first we had to get silly. The new Rougarou is a well-known mythological, or is it mythological? Maybe the Rougarou is real. The Nutricorn is another kind of silly hybrid of from down the bayou, and you can find that at the Waterlife Museum. So we took an inspiration from that and made our own hybrid animals, like the Crosquito, who this is a collaborative piece made by a couple of the participants, and which is, as they put it, is the best and the worst of Louisiana. I'll let you guess which one is the crawfish or the mosquito is the best and worst. So we also got silly with Rougarou versus the alligator, a 12-foot gator that's in the Waterlife Museum. Who would win in a fight? And we had the beautiful natural surroundings of the Bayou Terrebonne outside. That is Bayou Terrebonne, right? Yeah. We had some amazing, phenomenal artists. Jamie Dardar from United Home Nation, and Taproot Earth, another phenomenal Black and Indigenous female-led organization that is a Southern coalition of activists that attempt to really organize and help us. I'm butchering this. Sorry, Jamie, if you're out there. But it's a great follow. It really is inspirational how much work they're doing to help us envision a coast that's sustainable and hopeful. And Jamie shared not only her vision of and work with Taproot Earth, but also beading work from the members of the United Home Nation. We had Shannon Luke Eaton helping us with move our bodies when we got too much in our heads. We had Mike Slage talking to us about sustainable art materials. Speaking of sustainable art materials, if you don't know, I got to give all these shout outs. I love my people. Crew of Tradition is been operating for the last 20 years, or 10 years, but they just had their 10th anniversary. They're really big into sustainable Mardi Gras throws. If you don't know what a throw is, it's like the beads that get thrown from the floats at Mardi Gras. And their Crew of Tradition is also, its home base is the Intracoastal Club, one of the best bars in the country, according to USA Today or something. A beautiful scene, regardless of your background, your orientation, your identity. It's a very, very welcoming space. So I encourage you all to check that out. But back to Storm Shelter, it wasn't just the invited guests. It was also members of the participants in the program got to share their own art and what art, how they used art to for their own health, their own community purposes, their own just joy. And what was nice about it being intergenerational is that we had everything from animation with Frankie on the left to Miss Regina showing us her involvement with Henry Hinchy, who was one of the foremost American Impressionists who lived and died in Gray, Louisiana toward the end of his life. So again, a great piece of history. If you don't know about that, please check it out. More art shares from Bella and Miss Jen. And my mom was there. She shared a piece that she did during the civil rights era. And she is the one who made me that crawfish costume. Thanks, Mom. There it is. That red thing on the right is what the crawfish costume, the only piece that still fits, I'm sad to say. But you know, what are you gonna do? One of the highlights for me was getting to transition to thinking about creative solutions in the form of clay and sculpture, you know, were the materials we use, but Sam and Sarah from South Louisiana Wetlands Discovery Center helped us imagine those possibilities, you know, and that's another rule of art is to dare to dream about what these solutions could be. And a big shout out to them for helping us think about not only what the struggles are, but also the potential creative solutions. And we had way too much fun building levees. You wouldn't think, but hey, who knows? So we invited the community out during the last week to see what we did. And not only that, but to also participate in these solutions, because we didn't want it to just be us, those that participated. We wanted to bring it to the larger community, and people said some beautiful things. I've got some of the solutions here. People said they wanted to see meaningful levee programs. People said they wanted to see, mangrove. Oh, these are hard to read. Walkable bike paths, community gardens with local seasonal produce, connected relocation strategies for those who need it, and some beautiful, beautiful, like, and impactful kind of things that were on people's mind. It was really, really a privilege to get to build off of what Jonathan Foray is doing with a trunk of traditions. So writing it, drawing it, dropping, if you had to leave temporarily or otherwise, what part of our culture would you want to take with you? Would you want to take how to make a roux? Would you want to take the Louisiana French with you? We spoke French for part of the workshop. It was another beautiful aspect of having intergenerational participants. Jonathan, maybe I know you remember. If you feel free to chime in, if you remember some of the other, I think, submissions, but no pressure.
I think you're doing an amazing job. You don't need me to say anything.
All right. And then, so that was the high, you know, that was storm shelter. And now I'm very melancholy about being back. My heart's always in two places, but I'm back in Brooklyn now. This is a piece I've been working on for a couple of years, calling It's All Fine, which is thinking about how we, you know, often inhabit conflicted kind of attitudes toward sea level rise and hurricanes, and how we sometimes have to unplug. And so this piece on the right is a wacky painting I'm working on. It's yeah, represents some of that. And art's subjective. It might mean something completely different to you, and that's fine. This might mean something. If we had longer, I'd love to get people's thoughts about feel free to put it in the chat. That'd be kind of fun. But for me, the alligator can represent what a fragile coast, you know, and it can represent all kinds of things, personal relationships that can need healing, that are fraught. And these are in progress. This is the last couple slides. These are in progress at 21 minutes. I almost did it. These are in progress, and you know, I want to invite you. You know, these are thinking about different possibilities of what that future could look like. What would a future sustainable, joyful coast look like? Tapping into like some of that joy. What if we had? It might not end up as a house with turbo boosters on it and wearing space helmets probably shouldn't end up like that, but allowing ourselves to go in that direction, or whatever the direction is for you, to think about art as a way to dare to dream about what it could look like. So I invite you to dream along with me, stay in touch with me if you wish. It's been a real big privilege to get to talk to you. Thank you so much, Jonathan and Gary and Maida and Rachel. I'm sorry, I said I wasn't going to do names, but I'm sorry, anybody I forgot. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for being with us, Brooks. And I think what you have done such a beautiful, wonderful job of, what you've done so well is to show everyone the power that an artist really has to communicate all of the things that you've just shared. I think many times, and this is sort of where all this started with our management group, was realizing that the culture bearers, the tradition bearers, the artists, the folklorists, all of those folks had a much bigger role and responsibility in the challenges that we face here than people were giving them credit for, or even empowering those folks to do their part, right? A lot of times we think it's the engineers, it's the the government folks who are on the CPRA board, or employees, and not, no, they certainly have a strong role too. But man, this is the stuff of revolutions. You know what I mean? And that's the part that makes me excited, makes me hopeful. And you did an amazing job of presenting that. And I need to stop talking, because I can sing praises of your work, and open it up to a few questions for Brooke. So Gary, I see you have your hand up.
Yep.
You have the floor. Yeah.
Thanks, Brooke. That was awesome. I was at some of those gallery shows. I appreciate seeing those again. And one thing that it made me appreciate is that you captured the moment with that BP oil spill. And right now our college students, they haven't heard of that hardly. It's already ancient history in a way. And so I'm glad you captured that point in time. And I was wondering if you got any feedback from BP on that CEO image. And I was also wondering if that oil, how did that oil hold up in those paintings? Did those end up being well preserved, or did that oil do something bad on the media?
The paintings themselves?
Yeah. Because that was with the oil, right?
It was, yeah. It got written about in some national public. It got some media attention in Britain and here in the States. It's traveled around to many different states, Arkansas, Maine, New York, and several places in Louisiana, including the Chauvin Sculpture Garden in New Orleans. But it was mostly received well, because I think people were hungry for seeing that kind of human element.
Was the oil stable on the media, or did it like leach out, or is it still in good shape?
It's a weird material to work in, because unlike paint, it doesn't actually ever dry. So I have one of the paintings up here. If I took turpentine or a solvent, I could wipe it off. So I when I do have them in museums or galleries, or occasionally sell a few of them, I do let people know that, because it's a very elusive medium. I was worried about having them indoors, but the smell, the fumes, I've talked to some folks at LumCon, and it seems like the fumes have long since become a health issue. They're not a health issue anymore.
If you can share about the you submitted that portrait to a competition, didn't you?
Yeah, there's like a protest. a protest like BP is the British Portrait Gallery, which is also BP, but BP, the oil company, underwrites and supports the largest portrait competition in the world. And so I submitted one of those pieces and got pretty far in the rounds before something happened, and it wasn't in the show, but yeah, it was. I wanted to show it in Britain, in the headquarters.
Mark, you have your hand up.
Yeah, yes, I just wanted to thank Brooks for his presentation, and it kind of embodies also what the Artists and Tradition Bearers Working Group is all about. And Jonathan just presented to our group on Wednesday about the Trunk of Traditions, and we'll be having the video up on our playlist soon, so you can look on YouTube and the Louisiana Folklore Society channel for that. And I mean, I was especially kind of excited to see all those photos of the summer camp at the Wetlands Center. I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's like finest kind of the kind of thing you would want to do, I would think. Jonathan, is that the building that's closed right now?
That's right. The Waterlife Museum is currently closed due to extensive termite damage. I mean, termites got to eat too, I guess, but it kind of set us back a bit. But yeah, hopefully we'll have everything fixed and ready to go to do that program again next summer.
Great, thank you.
Marilyn, you have a question or comment for Brooks?
Hi. Yes, thank you very much. One comment and one question. So the comment is, I'm here in New Jersey, and I'm from New Jersey. And so I was just really taken with the piece that you showed that showed what my area, our area, since you're in Brooklyn, would look like if, in fact, what's going on in Louisiana were transplanted up here. And we kind of felt some of that with Superstorm Sandy.
Yes.
The question that I've got actually has to do with the piece that you showed about the boy and the gator. And I had, in some respects, really mixed feelings, because on the one hand, in your work, it looked as if the gator were embracing the boy. But I'm reminded of examples of postcards in what's referred to as Black memorabilia, where there are in fact gators, but rather than embracing children, they're in the process of actually eating, and there's no question that the children are absolutely African American. And I'm wondering if you're familiar with those, or if any of that played a part in what you were thinking doing that particular piece. And if not, you might want to take a look at those, because there's a really weird kind of synchronicity between the two. Thank you very much. Love this.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for that, Marilyn. I not consciously a connection. I learned about those a year ago, and I started making this work a couple years ago, but maybe it was around the same time. If it was connected, I wasn't consciously aware of it. But yeah, they are so weird and so telling of our country's problematic relationship with the Black body and consuming it, and it's just like wild.
Miss Marilyn, if I can ask you, because I'm not familiar with that artwork on those postcards, what was there, if you're aware of the artist intent behind creating those images, what was that commentary, or do you know?
There's first of all a whole slew of them, and they the ones that I'm thinking about all depict Black children, very young children, in various stages of being in peril,
Mhm.
sometimes immediate peril in terms of, as I mentioned, being eaten by gators. A lot of them have to do with the racist stereotypes um, of, for example, the children eating watermelons, with
Sure.
features that are very disproportionate.
Sure, sure.
And as I said, there were postcards.
Mhm.
So sometimes, and I'm totally blanking, I need to find some sources, but that basically like we're thinking of you and sending this through the mails. So
Thank you for sharing that, Miss Marilyn. I mean, it's definitely something that I'm gonna look up and see if I can personally just find out some more information on it. Seems intriguing. But any other questions for Brooks real quick? And again, we'll be here after the formal part of the presentation is over, so that way we can continue the conversation with Brooks. But if no one else for right now, we can move forward. And in that, Brooks, we always ask our presenters, what is your hope for the coast? And if you can just take a minute to share that with us, we'd appreciate those thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. My hope would be that we can continue remembering the creative potential, like to connect, that you used arts and creativity to connect with each other and heal, but also to remember our intelligence as Southerners. I go back and forth between New York and Houma, so I know sometimes I struggle with growing up in the South, like remembering that I'm as intelligent or creative as anyone, and I think like we as sometimes as a people can like forget that. So that's my hope that the message it's not true. You know, if you look at our beautiful culture, you can see it. You can see how yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate that. And again, everyone, please stick around toward the end of the hour, and we'll have more conversation with Brooks. Here is the position statement. I've got word, and forgive me, I was supposed to remove the QR code and I did not. I don't think the QR code is working effectively, but you can find information on the position statement for the Bayou Culture Collaborative if you go to louisianafolklore.org. Also, if you're new to the group, we have several working groups that meet outside of the Bayou Culture Collaborative, and this gives you information on them the next time they're meeting and the conveners that pull those groups together. We have the Culture and Coastal Planning Group. There's the Artist and Tradition Bearers. We have Preparing Receiving Communities. We have the Louisiana French Group, and of course, Protecting Collections. If you need any information on that, you can feel free to contact any of us, and we can put you in touch with those folks. Next month's gatherings at Rougarou Fest. So we're very excited to be able to host the next gathering. So we're not going to be on Zoom. We're going to meet in person at the Rougarou Fest, and we have a BCC tent, and the working groups will be there as well. That tent will be in the Folklife Village, and we'll be there. Although the festival runs 3 days, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the working groups and BCC will be there Saturday, October 19th from 10 to 5. So we hope that people are able to get out to Houma and be able to see each other face to face. I mean, since COVID happened, we're all kind of used to seeing each other on Zoom and then screens, but it's always nice to also be able to get together in person. So for more information on that, you can visit the website at rougaroufest.org/folklifevillage. and you can get all of the details there. So we hope to see you guys next month there. We'll also be having more information coming through Facebook about both our November and December presenters. Anyone have any announcements that they would like to make before we move on? Cool. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, Mark.
Yeah, just quickly, our next Artists and Tradition Barrier meeting will feature Denise Frazier and other members of Les Senel, which is a Creole musical ensemble based in New Orleans. So join us on the third Wednesday of October at 7 p.m. Central.
Thank you for that, Mark. Anyone else?
Jonathan, if I could just make an announcement that at LEH, we're in the process of putting together an impact survey for the communities that were that had the hurricane last week, specifically for cultural organizations. So be on the lookout for that. And if you know of cultural organizations that were impacted, please feel free to share that. And we're gonna be sharing it with this group as well.
Thank you very much for that. And shameless LEH plug. We were here at the Waterlife Museum, we were a recipient of one of the emergency preparedness grants, which gave us funds to spend the time and work with experts to create an emergency management plan. And then there was a second round of grant funding that actually allowed us to buy the supplies needed to respond to an emergency. For example, a generator and a dehumidifier and all the things that you would need to be able to recover from a storm. And we were able to put that plan in place with Hurricane Francine. And I can't tell you how valuable that was for us and for our organization. Also from a mental health perspective, because we had a plan and it was done ahead of time. And there was no thinking about it and there was no panicking about it. It was just, we sat down with the staff and said, okay, you're doing this, we had this, we rolled it out. And it was seamless, and we mitigated the damage that we would have had to the museum. So thank you to LEH for being able to provide us the funds, but also the space and time that we needed to make a meaningful plan. Thank you guys for that. Yeah. Okay, so for everyone, this concludes the formal part of our presentation. Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope to see you guys at the Rougarou Fest in October.